Hey there, listeners. Ready to dive into some radical product thinking with us today?
Always up for a deep dive.
Awesome. Today we're going to be focusing on how a strong product vision, like seriously strong, can be a total game changer, especially now when everything's moving so fast.
Yeah, it's wild out there.
Right. So we're going to be digging into Radhika Dutt's Radical Product Thinking.
Oh, love that book.
It's such a fresh take on product development. Really challenges a lot of the kind of traditional thinking that's out there.
Yeah, a lot of sacred cows getting tipped.
Totally. Get ready to ponder some thought-provoking questions like, why are so many companies just kind of like reacting to trends instead of, really leading with purpose?
The eternal question.
Could a 10% revenue boost actually be a bad thing in some cases?
Ooh, interesting.
And like, how can just a simple vision statement be the secret sauce to building products that people actually really care about?
That's what we're here to find out.
Exactly. So I don't know about you, but it's crazy to me how many companies seem stuck in this like cycle of just reacting, constantly chasing, whatever the latest shiny object is.
It's like they're on a treadmill going nowhere fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Dutt really calls out these common pitfalls, like obsessing over every single customer demand, mimicking competitors just because, and like just blindly chasing metrics.
Yeah, the keeping up with the Joneses of the product world.
Totally. Have you like seen this in action, like in the wild?
Oh, way more often than you'd think. Dutt has these great names for these patterns, calls them product diseases.
I love that.
You've got pivotitis, where companies are just constantly shifting direction without a clear vision.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's like obsessive sales disorder, where they bend over backward for a few like high-paying customers, even if it means like totally ignoring the needs of everyone else.
Ouch. Classic.
And of course, we've all seen like the feature factory syndrome, just churning out features without any real thought or purpose.
Adding stuff.
Exactly.
Those names are brilliant. And they really capture the dysfunction. So, okay, if these diseases are the problem, is a strong product vision like the cure?
You got it. A strong vision acts like a lighthouse in a storm. It cuts through all the noise, gives you a clear direction.
Okay, I like that analogy.
It's about defining the change you want to make in the world, the problem you're tackling, and like what does success actually look like in the end.
Okay, so it's more than just a feel-good statement. It's like a guiding principle for every decision you make about the product.
100%.
I really like how Dutt provides an example for like a small business accounting tool. Makes it super concrete. It's like today small businesses struggle with all these like disjointed accounting tools that just drain their time and cause all kinds of errors.
Been there.
Right. We envision a world where managing finances is as simple as like checking your bank balance, empowering businesses to actually focus on growing, not on this like tedious stuff.
Love it. Straightforward and ambitious.
Right. And then it goes on. Our product is going to achieve this through seamless automation and real-time insights.
Boom. Problem, solution, desired outcome, all laid out.
Concise, impactful, it just like clearly lays out the what and the how.
When your vision is that clear, it's so much easier to stay focused, avoid distractions, and like build something amazing.
Okay, so like strong vision, crucial, but how do we actually put that into practice? That's getting some, pretty radical ideas, like really challenge the status quo.
Yeah, some real shakeups.
Ugh, let's hear it. What's the first one?
All right, this first one might ruffle some feathers. It's vision over metrics.
Ooh, interesting.
Now, it's not about ignoring metrics altogether. They're still important.
Sure.
But they need to serve your vision, not the other way around. Don't let the tail wag the dog.
Okay, so like could chasing a 10% revenue increase actually be a bad move if it compromises like the whole point of the product in the first place?
Absolutely. You can have what looks like growth, but if it's not aligned with your vision, it's hollow.
So you might see those numbers go up, but are you really delivering value? Making a real impact?
That's the key question. Are the metrics we're tracking moving us towards our vision, or are they just leading us astray?
That's deep. And it makes you realize how easy it is to get caught up in those like vanity metrics,
For sure. Instead, focus on metrics that actually align with your vision.
Okay, examples.
Like, let's say your product aims to improve people's mental health. Your key metric might be like the percentage of users who report less anxiety, not just how many times the app was downloaded.
Oh, I see. So it's about measuring what truly matters, not just what looks impressive on a spreadsheet or whatever.
Exactly. Quality over quantity, always.
Love it. Okay, what's the next radical idea?
Yeah.
What else is going to, shake things up?
All right, this one might be even more controversial. You ready?
Hit me.
Stop prioritizing every customer.
Whoa! Wait, hold on. Isn't the customer always right? Isn't that the golden rule?
Not always. Trying to please everyone can actually be detrimental to your product.
I can kind of see that, but, explain.
Trying to cater to every single customer demand just leads to this bloated, unfocused product. Remember, obsessive sales disorder. That's when you let the demands of a few loud, high-paying customers, totally hijack your product roadmap.
Yeah, and then you end up with this Frankenstein product that doesn't really serve anyone well.
Exactly. You sacrifice the needs of the majority for the whims of a few. Not a good trade-off.
So how do you figure out which feedback to prioritize? It seems like a tricky balancing act.
It all comes back to your vision. When you get feedback or a feature request, ask yourself, does this align with what we're trying to achieve? If the answer is no, you might need to politely decline, even if it comes from, a big spender.
Yeah, that takes guts. But I get it. Ultimately, it leads to a stronger, more focused product. One that actually stands for something.
Exactly. And speaking of focus, let's talk about the third radical idea. Pivot less. Iterate more.
Ooh, interesting. The startup world is obsessed with pivoting. But, is it always the best move?
That's what Dutt is saying. Constant pivoting can leave your team, your customers, your investors, everyone feeling confused.
Yeah, it's like changing the destination every few miles on a road trip. You'll never actually get anywhere.
Exactly. A strong vision acts like your compass, guides you through those inevitable market shifts and challenges. You can adapt, but your core purpose stays the same.
So it's about knowing where you're going, even if you need to adjust the route a little bit along the way.
Exactly. Now, are you ready for the final radical idea?
Okay, lay it on me.
This one tackles the feature factory syndrome head on. It's the idea of vision before features.
Love it.
Stop blindly adding features just because you can or because your competitors are.
Oh, I've totally seen those products that are loaded with features, but they feel so clunky and overwhelming.
It's like they're trying to be all things to all people, but they end up being nothing to no one.
So true. So what's the point of all those features if they don't actually provide real value?
No point at all. Adding features without considering your vision just leads to these bloated, confusing products.
And then you end up in this never-ending arms race with competitors just trying to outdo each other.
It's a race to the bottom, really. Instead, think about the concept of the minimum lovable product.
Minimum lovable product. I like that.
It's about focusing on those features that truly delight your users and solve their real problems.
So it's not about being bare bones. It's about being intentional.
Exactly.
Those 4 radical ideas, they really flip the script. They're all about thinking more strategically, more deliberately.
It's about moving beyond just reacting and getting proactive.
And they all emphasize how important it is to have that rock solid vision.
It's your foundation, your guiding principle, your North Star.
Love it.
Oh.
Now, Dutt also outlines this whole radical product thinking framework, which sounds super practical.
Yeah, it's a roadmap for actually turning that vision into a reality. We'll dive into that more in our next segment.
But for now, listeners, we want to hear from you. What are some of the most compelling product visions you've encountered? What really stood out to you?
Let's keep this conversation going.
All right, welcome back. We just finished exploring some seriously radical ideas, and now let's get practical.
Totally. Time to dive into the nitty-gritty of the radical product thinking framework. It's like the roadmap for taking your amazing vision and actually making it happen.
Okay, so let's break it down step by step. Where do we even start?
It all begins with, you guessed it, defining your vision.
Right. Back to basics.
We touched on this earlier, but it's so crucial. If you don't nail this, everything else just falls apart.
Yeah, it's like trying to build a house on sand. It's just not going to hold up.
Exactly. So it's more than just a catchy slogan, It's about really digging deep and figuring out the change you want to see in the world.
What problem are you solving? Why does it even matter? Who's going to benefit from this?
You got it. Think of it as painting this, vivid picture of the future.
Oh, I like that. We talked about that small business accounting tool before. Their vision statement really did that. They didn't just say, we make accounting software.
Right? So boring.
They actually painted this picture of a world where small businesses can, like, thrive and focus on growing, not drowning in spreadsheets.
I love that example. That level of clarity is what makes a vision truly inspiring. It's about impact, not just features.
Okay, so once we've got that, like, crystal clear vision, what's next? What's step 2?
Step 2 is all about creating a strategy. This is where you map out how you're actually going to get to that amazing future you've envisioned.
So, like, plotting the course from point A to point B.
Precisely. You need to figure out who your target audience is, what their specific needs are, and how your product is going to, like, uniquely address those needs.
So it's understanding what makes your solution stand out, why someone would choose your product over all the others out there.
Exactly. You need a strong value proposition that's in total alignment with your vision. And this is also where you start thinking about the key features that are going to bring your vision to life. But not just like adding features for the sake of it, strategically choosing the ones that actually deliver on your promise.
Right. It's like building a bridge between that inspiring vision and the tangible product people will actually use. All right. What's next in this framework?
Now we get to the metrics. This is where a lot of companies get tripped up. They get so focused on chasing those vanity metrics, the ones that don't actually reflect their vision.
It's like celebrating a packed stadium, but like half the audience left at halftime. The numbers might look good, but are they really telling the whole story?
Exactly. So step 3 is all about prioritizing the metrics that truly measure your progress toward your vision.
The ones that tell you if you're making a real difference, right?
Right. So instead of fixating on things like website traffic or app downloads, you might look at like how engaged users are or if they're achieving specific outcomes. Let's say your vision is to help people learn new skills more effectively. Your key metric wouldn't be how many people signed up for your course, but how many actually finished it and, mastered the material.
I see. So it's about measuring what truly matters, what actually shows you're moving in the right direction. All right, bring on the final step.
The final step is all about systematizing iteration. This is where the rubber meets the road, where you actually start building.
Okay, time to get our hands dirty.
Yes. But it's not just about building, it's about building in a way that's flexible and embraces feedback.
So it's not about rigidly sticking to a plan, but adapting as you go.
Exactly. This step is all about using your vision as this guiding force for every decision, from what features you build to your roadmap to how you run your sprints.
So it's like creating this culture where the vision is woven into everything you do.
Precisely. It's about having the discipline to say no to things that don't serve your vision, but also the flexibility to adapt and iterate based on what you learn along the way.
So it sounds like this framework helps you avoid those pitfalls we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Like pivotitis and the feature factory.
Absolutely. It keeps you focused, helps you avoid getting sidetracked by all the shiny objects out there, and make sure everything you're doing is pushing you towards that bigger goal.
But it's not just about blindly following a set of rules, right? It seems like it requires a certain mindset, like a willingness to challenge assumptions and constantly check if your actions are matching your vision.
100%. You've got to be intentional and purposeful in everything you do. It's about constantly asking why. Why are we building this feature? Why are we targeting this specific group of people? Does this decision actually bring us closer to our vision?
So it's about moving beyond just the how and the what and really getting to the why.
That's where the magic happens. That's what separates the good from the truly great.
So for our listeners who are ready to roll up their sleeves and put this framework into action, what's your advice? Where do they start?
Start with that deep reflection. What are you passionate about? What problem are you burning to solve? What kind of world do you want to create?
Find that spark, that thing that gets you up in the morning,
And don't be afraid to challenge those conventional ways of thinking. Remember those radical ideas we talked about? They were all about pushing boundaries and breaking free from the status quo.
Yeah, embrace the unconventional. Ask those what-if questions.
Because that's where true innovation comes from. It's about taking that vision and putting it into action.
It's inspiring to think about companies that have embraced this approach and, achieved remarkable things. It shows that this isn't just some theory. It's a path to success.
Absolutely. We've talked about Slack and Tesla, but there are so many others, like Airbnb. Their vision of creating a world where anyone can belong anywhere has completely transformed how we travel.
And what about Patagonia? Their commitment to environmental sustainability is woven into everything they do.
These companies prove that a powerful vision can be this, driving force for positive change. Their visions aren't just empty words, they're deeply embedded in their culture and their actions.
It's like that vision becomes this guiding light, leading the way forward and inspiring everyone involved.
Exactly. And that's what makes their products and services so compelling. They're not just selling something, they're offering a piece of that vision, a chance to be part of something bigger.
It's about tapping into that sense of purpose, both for the company and for the people using their products.
And the radical product thinking framework gives you the tools to make that connection, to turn those inspiring visions into reality.
This has been such an insightful conversation, but we're not done yet.
We've got more to unpack.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into radical product thinking.
The grand finale.
We've covered so much ground, like those, mind-blowing radical ideas and the whole practical framework for actually making a vision a reality.
Time to bring it all together.
Right. Because it's one thing to grasp these concepts, but it's a whole other ballgame to put them into practice, out there in the real world.
So let's get tactical. Let's give our listeners some tools they can use right away.
Love it. One thing that I've always found super helpful is creating a vision board.
Oh, yeah, those are powerful.
It's such a great way to, visualize your product vision, make it more than just words on a page.
Totally. Don't underestimate the power of visuals, images, words, quotes, anything that captures the essence of what you're trying to do.
It's like creating a visual representation of your North Star, something you can always come back to, get inspired, stay on track.
Exactly. And it's a great way to get everyone on the same page, too.
Speaking of getting everyone on the same page, I think it's so crucial to involve the entire team, when you're defining the vision.
Absolutely. When people feel like they had a hand in shaping the vision, they're way more invested in making it happen.
It creates this, shared understanding and just, a stronger commitment to achieving that goal together.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And remember, your vision isn't static.
Right. It's not set in stone.
Don't be afraid to tweak it as you learn and grow. It should evolve.
Like a living document. And it needs to be able to adapt as you get new insights and the market changes.
Precisely. One way to keep your vision front and center is to, weave it into your daily routine.
Yeah, how do you suggest doing that? Because it seems like it could so easily get lost in the day-to-day hustle,
You can work it into team meetings, presentations, even just your email signature. Get creative.
Little reminders everywhere.
Exactly. The more you keep that vision top of mind, the more it'll guide your decisions.
Okay, so when it comes to actually developing your strategy, I think one of the most important things is truly understanding your target audience.
It's not enough to just know their age or location. You got to get deeper than that.
You need to know their pain points, their motivations, what they're hoping to achieve.
Get inside their heads.
Do user research, talk to them, run surveys and focus groups, anything that helps you really understand them.
Empathy is key. And remember, not all customers are created equal.
Right. Focus on your ideal customer, the one who really aligns with your vision.
The ones who will benefit most from what you're building.
Okay, so now let's talk about those metrics. It's so easy to get overwhelmed with all the data these days.
It's a data tsunami.
So we need to be super selective and focus on the ones that actually matter, the ones that directly connect to our vision.
Don't get lost in the weeds. Choose the metrics that will give you the most valuable insights.
And don't be afraid to experiment, right? What works for one product might not work for another.
Absolutely. You got to find what works for you.
Okay, and a final step, systematizing iteration. It's all about creating a culture of continuous improvement.
Always be learning, always be growing.
Embrace feedback, the good and the bad, and always strive to make your product even better.
And you got to make sure your team has the tools and the processes to collect feedback, analyze data, and make changes quickly.
Agility is key.
And one last thing, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, failure is just a stepping stone to success.
Embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into radical product thinking, I want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay, hit me.
Building products that truly matter isn't just about following some framework, It's about a mindset.
It's about having a vision, a purpose.
It's about challenging the status quo, thinking differently, and having the courage to go after what you believe in, even when it feels a little bit scary.
It's about building things that solve real problems, things that make the world a better place.
So go out there, be bold, be radical, challenge the assumptions, break the mold, and build something extraordinary.
You got this.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep thinking radically.